welcome and thank you for joining us this evening for the scoping meeting for the project 950 Monroe Mixed Use Project. My name is Steve Lee. I'm an associate planner with the City of Santa Clara. So just before we get into the agenda, welcome. And I'm joining here today with the city's environmental consultant, Shannon George, and Patrick Callis from David J. Powers and Associates. So for today's agenda here, we're just going to go over the meeting purpose of this evening, and then the project overview and the environmental impact report process and public participations, and then we'll go over some public comments. Depending on how many people we get, once we get to the public comment period, we'll allocate about 2 minutes or so. Looks like there's only about 13 people. The meeting is from now 6 o'clock till 7:30. But if we don't have a lot of people or additional comments, we may end the meeting short. This meeting is recorded, so we will have the video posted on the project web page, as well as the transcript of it, and a meeting summary as well. Any PowerPoint presentations will be posted. Okay. Okay. All right. So the purpose of today's meeting is to provide information on the EIR, and there's a couple of slides later that explains what an EIR is, and giving you a brief overview of the project. Just a reminder, this is not a meeting regarding the project itself. The project is still in review with the technical aspects in the city internally. Today's meeting is really just for the scoping of the EIR. So we're going to get public input on the scope, and they'll be covering any topics to alternatives to be analyzed in the document. Okay, so project overview. This is a 0.87 acres site located at 906 to 950 Monroe Street and 1341 Homestead Road. The zoning here, there are 3 parcels involved. This commercial property here is CC or community commercial, and the zoning for this single family house in the middle here is general office, and the corner property here is HT or historic combining. It has 2 residential units on that. One is on the 906 Monroe, and the other one is the 1341 Homestead Road. All 3 parcels are designated as community mixed use in the general plan, and the current uses is the 6,000, a little more than 6,500 square foot commercial building here, and you got 3 single-family residential units. The project descriptions is going to be a general plan amendment and rezoning of existing zoning districts to the plan development to construct a 6-story residential mixed-use buildings with 5 stories, 5 levels of residentials over retail. With the new buildings will have 53 condominium units. There'll be 4 townhouses to the rear behind that new building, and the 3 residential single-family units. Residences will remain the same, remain on site. The retail will be provided by 2,000 square foot ground floor retail and restaurant space. There are open space and amenities of approximately 3,000 square feet of amenities, including outdoor areas, gyms, and other indoor community space for project residents. The amenities of the open space is on the 5th floor. There's an open terrace here, where I'm pointing here, and then the indoor will be provided by the gym and community space. Okay, here's briefly the project renderings, elevations. To my right is the view from Monroe Street, across from the Franklin Square. The elevations, the existing 2 stories or existing residentials on 906 Monroe here is about 2-story height residence, and the new project of the new building will be 3 level of residential over retail, and then it transitions to 5 over retail. The corner picture to the left there is the view from the corner of Homestead and Monroe, looking at the existing historical building residence there and the new building itself. You can see slightly to the back with this dark gray roof. That will be the roof of the new 4-unit townhouse. All right. So really, what is an environmental impact report? It's an official informational document is designed to inform the public and decision makers about potential environmental impacts of a project. It provides problem-solving tools to avoid or reduce project impacts, tools like mitigation measures and alternatives. The environmental impacts are just one of the factors decision makers consider, not the only one. With that, I'll hand it over to our environmental consultant, Shannon George, to go over some of the process and how you can participate.
Yes, thank you, Steve. So the intent and purpose of CEQA, in addition to disclosing environmental effect, is to be a public process and to include public input in as many stages as possible. And so what we wanted to just explain briefly is all the points in time through this process where you, the public, can have your voice be heard about this project. The first is through the NOP, the Notice of Preparation, and the scoping meeting that we're having now. You can make verbal comments tonight. You can also submit written comments to Steve during the 30-day period that's listed on the notice. In addition to that, you have the 45-day public circulation period and the public hearings. Do you want to forward the slide? We'll get into a little bit more detail there. So again, as I said, you can do both written and verbal comments through the NOP and scoping process. Those comments will be included in the EIR. Comments that pertain specifically to the scope of the environmental review will be responded to within the text of the EIR. Once the EIR is complete and the draft is ready, the city will circulate that for 45 days, and that's 45 calendar days, irregardless of holidays or weekends. And during that period, you'll, if you've signed up for to be notified, you'll receive a notice. It'll be posted on the city's website. Steve, are you also putting them at the local library?
Yes, we are.
And City Hall, correct? There was a copy there too? Okay, so there's multiple opportunities to look at the document. And then during that 45 days, you'll be able to read that document and then provide the city with written comment regarding, you know, the content of that document and whether or not, you know, you still have questions. You can pose those questions. The city is obligated to respond in writing to those comments, and so that's another formal process that the city will go through, and then the preparation of those responses to comments is put together in what's called a final EIR, and that will be also made available to the public for 10 days prior to any public hearing on the project. And then while you won't have a formal opportunity to respond to the final EIR, you can speak to it or any other concerns that you have also during the public hearing. So verbal comments can be taken at both Planning Commission and City Council. So there are 4 different opportunities through the process for you as the public to provide your input and ask questions and you know, get more information on the project through the CEQA review.
And yeah, here's just my general information is here, my email. If you have any written comments, if you're not providing it this evening or sharing it this evening, you can always email me. And anything else before we get to public comments, Shannon? Okay. Looks like at this point we have about 24 participant here.
Mm-hmm.
We're still early, so we can give everybody about 2 minutes to speak. Again, tonight's purpose is just to discuss the environmental scoping meeting or what you want to study for this document. This is not the project, project answering about the information regarding the projects. But okay, with that, Patrick will help me just, if you have any comments, what you want to study, any comments on the environmental process, feel free to just raise your hand. Patrick will call on you, and I'll have a timer up about 2 minutes, and we'll try to answer your questions after the 2 minutes, and then we'll call on the next caller just in case you have the same questions or you need to leave. So.
And Steve, did you say there would also be a transcript of the meeting made available?
Yes, and so this meeting is recorded, so the video and there'll be a transcript available for, so it'll be posted on the project webpage.
Right.
Okay. And even though you're sharing your comments tonight verbally, we still encourage you to just send written comments as well. That way, it's just, we'll be obligated to respond to it as part of the document. So, anything else missing before we start the public comment? Okay.
No.
All right. I see hands. Let me put the timer over first.
So I will be calling on Janet Stevenson first. All right, you're allowed to talk.
Hello. I just had a couple questions. One is there was talk before about raising the historical homes and putting a parking garage underneath. Is that still happening? And what impact would that have on everything? So I wonder if you can address that. Another question I had was the 4 townhouses so I'm guessing it looks like 2 of the homes are going to be kept on site, and then the third, I guess, is the kind of the little Spanish home behind the Victorian. I'm guessing that one will be demolished, and there's 4 townhouses going there. Are those townhouses, how many stories are they? Are they 1-story, 2-story, or how high are they? That's a second question. A third question I had is the houses that are on Madison, where their backyard backs up to this project. What the buildings that are being built, what impact are they going to have on that house behind on Madison? Is it line up with the townhouses? So is it a 2-story building that's going to be lined right up to their backyard, or is it the 4-story building that is going in next to the historical building? That's the other question I have, and I want to know what kind of impact that would have on that the neighbors that live right there. And then my last thing I want to make sure that's being addressed, it sounds like it is that the historical resources there are being preserved. That's of high importance. So I'm glad to see that those homes are there and they're going to stay put, and I want to make sure that they do stay put. And I guess the last thing is how does this project fit in with the downtown plan? Is it matching what the downtown task force had laid out for that particular square block in terms of their code? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
All right, let me just finish that last note. Okay. Couple project questions. So the houses, none of the houses, the existing 3 units, including the 1341 homestead, are not being demolished, even for the townhomes on the back. I can show you the site plan again to show the access to that, but they are not being demolished, and parkings are not, the existing historic homes are not being raised to be built for the parking basement underneath it. The parking basement will be just all on the new parcels in the new building. And the questions on Madison homes.
So part of the environmental review will be to look at the interface between the proposed buildings and the surrounding neighborhood, particularly those with immediate adjacencies. So we'll be looking at that. Also consistency with city plans and policies. So all that information will be disclosed in the environmental document.
Right. And incorporations of this and how this is relating to the downtown. This request for this entitlement is going before the downtown precise plan. So that's why he's requesting for a general plan amendment for a higher density in this area. Is because it's not waiting for the downtown precise plan, new higher heights or density. So that's why the general plan amendment. I'm showing here the site plan, and it shows the access to the 4 townhouses is actually through the new development, the new building. So parking access will be on Franklin, and then there'll be a walkway to access the 4 townhouse. The small residential on 1341 Homestead, it's still within this one parcel here, and there's no access or driveway from there to the townhouse. Okay. That answered the questions, I believe. So Patrick, you can call on the next.
Next speaker is Jonathan E. I'll allow you.
1 second.
And let me.
Okay.
And I think you have to unmute yourself.
Hello, is this working?
Yeah, Jonathan, we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Jonathan. I'm the president of the Old Quad Residents Association. So I just wanted to list off a few things I think need to be within scope of the EAR. As John already called out, we need to make sure we include the effect on the historical and potentially historic resources near the project and involved here. This should include including a survey of nearby historical resources. Norn resources also have to be evaluated, and the project's effect on them needs to be considered. The resources within the project's boundaries should have updated DPRs done as part of the process. And then any proposed changes which affect the historic resource within the project boundary must also be evaluated using the Secretary of the Interior standards for historic preservation on the effects on both the buildings and also the effects on their context within the wider project boundary. Another area that should be considered as part of the EIR is effect on for new residents to the city on library resources, which includes effects to the local branch library located nearby, along with digital resources, since that's been a significant cost to our library system. Also, we should include kind of the general impacts such as construction impacts, parking, shading of surrounding areas. And then one other big item that I think needs to be included is the documents that have so far been posted include a general plan amendment that changes the community mixed use designation to from medium density residential to including a very high density residential designation. This has a larger impact on all properties that are currently zoned or have the general plan listed as community mixed use, and evaluating that overall impact and what that does to all the community mixed use should be in scope as part of this as required by a general plan amendment. So I wanted to make sure that, we're not just focused just on this project, but on the overall impact that's going to be on the downtown focus area by changing the overall zoning of the general plan.
All right.
Thank you.
Jonathan.
That's it.
Thank you.
All right. I don't think there was a question there, so we can move on to the next speaker.
No, I'll just say that the majority of what was mentioned is already within the scope of the EIR. Fairly standard analyses is what we're being asked for. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Lucy Haro, I'll allow you to talk. Unmute yourself, please.
Hi, this is George Haro, his husband. Question: this sketch you just showed, or architectural plan, does this match with the proposal that the consultant has been showing for the last few meetings?
I was not aware of the previous meeting, but I know there are changes since then to this site plan. Like the introductions of the townhouse, that was new. It was not shown at the first committee meeting. That's all I know.
And so at the last meeting, and I don't remember the DPR, I can't remember the name of the consultants that the committee for the downtown has
The
engaged with.
WRT.
Yes.
Yeah, so they had certain elevations, and I mean, to be honest with you, I've been following these meetings for the last few months, and they've made progress, and now it's starting to coalesce into something that I'm actually encouraged to see. And I'm not sure how this fits in with that, because I've seen the progress, and I wouldn't want us to stop at this point. So, does this match that?
This is a higher density. I'm not sure if it's higher than what's anticipated in this area. So I don't, I don't recall if it's going to match the precise plan.
So what are the requirements to make sure that this, agrees with the plan that seems to be a lot of people putting a lot of effort into it? I'd hate to see that go to waste at this point.
Yeah, so since this is going forward before the precise plan, so this will be analyzed just within itself, and of course with the downtown's precise plan spirit in mind, since there's a lot of work that's gone through there. So planning commissions and city council who already adopted or not adopted, but supported the land use framework.
I was under the impression that all plans have to abide by the precise plan.
Yes, but it's not adopted yet.
When will it be?
We're in the process. We haven't done the EIR, so you're looking about maybe a year out, less. Time's up. Let me just close this. Yeah. Okay. We move on to the next speaker.
Thank you. All right. Next up is Linda Grand. I will allow you to talk. Please unmute your mic.
Hi, I'm a Santa Clara resident and just wanted to say that support high density mixed use developments and excited that there will be a mixture of the residential and retail and hope to see this project move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up is Patricia, gmail.com. Unmute your mic.
I really should rename myself. It's Patricia Lung. Resident in Oakland. Yeah. Hi, Steve.
Hey.
Just want to make sure you hear me. So Patricia Lung, currently on Historical and Landmarks Commission. I'm speaking on for myself, and I'm not speaking on specifically on the project itself. I just want to see, based on EIRs that I've seen come through HLC previously, my experience is that we really need to have updated DPRs on the historical properties. There are actually some questions about some of the affecting structures around those. I just want to plus one on basically what Jonathan said about the historical resources. We do have to do a analysis on how the new project is going to affect the historical resource that are currently existing, for sure. Let's see. And then on the plan alternatives, I would like to see an analysis on a plan that is being put forth by the Downtown Task Force currently. There is some difference, as George mentioned earlier, what WRT has started proposing based on community input. I would like to see how that would stack up as a plan alternative. That's a little bit heavier on the townhomes and so forth. So that we could see. But yeah,
Okay.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Steve, if I could speak for a moment about the alternatives. Thank you for bringing that up. It's definitely a good idea. Under the law, the way the alternatives work is if we identify a significant effect, then the alternatives are basically potential redesigns of the project that would reduce or lessen an environmental effect that was identified. So hopefully, if we do identify anything, then what's proposed by the downtown plan would fit that criteria. And if it does, then we would be able to include it in the analysis.
Thank you, Shannon, for that clarification. Patrick?
We don't have any hands raised currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have one. Oh, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah. We'll have a lot of time. So.
All right. Alex Schur, I'm allowing you to talk. Please unmute your mic.
Hey, thanks, Patrick. Shannon, Steve. This is Alex Shore, Executive Director of Catalyze SV. As you guys, I think, know, we work on evaluating projects our members do in Santa Clara and San Jose and other cities. And so this is a project we're looking at, tracking, and considering getting involved in. I wonder if, I know this isn't always something that's within an EIR scoping, but we face a lot of challenges with folks and outside of our county driving long distances to get between their jobs and their homes. Putting a mixed-use, multi-story building in Santa Clara, where hopefully we'll have a reinvigorated downtown in the coming years, and in a city that has a lot of jobs throughout it, could be beneficial for cutting down on greenhouse gas emissions, increasing public health by allowing people to walk through Santa Clara in their neighborhood more. Is that something you all are willing to study as part of the EIR to quantify or qualify the benefits of mixed use, vibrant, dynamic, walkable neighborhoods like this project potentially could bring?
Is that your only questions, or you want to continue?
Well, I'd love to to follow up, but I'll leave it there for now if that's okay.
Shannon?
Sure. So the intent and purpose of CEQA is to identify physical environmental effects on the environment, beneficial effects, which could result. If it's appropriate, we will disclose it, but we don't specifically analyze benefit. There's no threshold for us to analyze or quantify a benefit of a project necessarily. If that can come through in a technical report or something, we will disclose it, but it's not the purpose of the document. It may be just a secondary effect of the project. So to the extent that we can, we will, but it's not a primary purpose and wouldn't be something that we would actively study.
Okay. Thank you so
I hope
much.
that answers your question. Is that
it does. I would just ask as you present EIRs to planning staff, community, council, et cetera, to present the idea that there are actual environmental benefits to buildings of this type, and that even though the EIRs don't suppose them, it's important as an externality that we recognize that it does have those benefits, and that could in fact be a fundamental sort of structural flaw in the EIR process, that it only measures downsides when there are potential upsides.
Well, I mean, it could show an upside. For example, when you're analyzing traffic, if you have high vehicle miles traveled or VMT in an area, and you introduce the right types of land uses, you will see that VMT go down, which is what you want, right? That's the beneficial effect. So it can be reflected in the analysis. It's just not, like I said, actively pursued. It just comes through the technical discussion. But there's other opportunities for the decision makers to be made aware of that. And part of that is through staff reports and public comment as well.
All right. I think your time is up, Alex. I'm going to
thank you, Alex.
Thank you. All right. Any other hands? Not seeing anything yet.
Great question so far. Yeah.
So we have a repeat. Are there any others before we go back to someone?
Yeah.
We do have plenty of time, but I'd like to see.
We have two.
Everybody raising their hands.
Two.
All right, so there's no new hands, right, Patrick? If not,
No new hands. Yeah.
Let's go back with the first repeat.
All right. Unmute your mic. I have it under Lucy.
I believe it was George, right?
George, yeah.
Hi. One more question. So as far as this was like a layout, right? From an architectural standpoint, and I remember if again, the consultant, if this architectural styling that they had proposed, is this going to work with them as far as having a cohesive architectural style? Or I'm a little concerned that if this plan does not work within the precise plan, we're going to have a hodgepodge of, architectural styles. And I'm not an architect. I'm the last person that should be raising this, but I'm curious as to, are they going to work with them to make sure it's in line with their vision?
Yeah, George, great questions on the architectural style. There's multiple opportunities to review that. One is just the project design, which is with the city's design guidelines. But of course, this is in the downtown. We have to acknowledge there is a downtown precise plan coming. There are components of that plan, like, there will be design standards, and of course, the form-based code. Not yet, none of this are not yet adopted, but those will be regulations that maybe it depends on how fast this project goes. That might be something that I guess planning commissions or decision makers can consider as well. And there's the environmental components of actually architectural design. So if Shannon can share a little bit more about that analysis.
Sure. I mean, what we would be looking at, like Steve said, we would be looking at the city's criteria. To my point that I made earlier, we look
Shannon?
at plans and policies. Yes.
Your mic is very low because I can barely hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can turn it up a little bit. Is that better?
Yeah, better,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, just holler if you can't hear me. All relevant plans, policies, guideline standards within the city that apply to this project will be looked at, and that does include architectural. So we'll be looking at consistency of the project with those requirements. And then, like Steve said, depending on the timing of the downtown plan, when that is fully fleshed out, and whether, even if it's not approved, if the city wanted to say, maybe we should consider this, it's not enforceable at that point if it's not approved, but it can be a considering factor. So all of that will be looked at by staff, and we'll be directing the analysis accordingly.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, George.
Thank you. All right. Next up, Alex. I'm allowing you to talk. Unmute your mic.
Thanks again, Patrick and Stephen and Shannon. Appreciate it. I wanted to mention or ask about something on parking related to the scoping requirements. Before I do, just if I were in person, I'd get to give a little hello. So in person. So I'm just going to do a shout out to Jonathan Evans. Hey, Jonathan. On parking, another benefit of people being able to walk is those potential lower vehicle miles traveled, and having less parking can actually contribute to that, as well as transportation demand management measures, which the developer could choose to put in, or the city could choose as a condition of approving the project. Is that something y'all are willing to study as well? That, basically by providing more parking spaces, it will encourage more driving, I guess, induced demand, as I think maybe transportation planners call it, and that induced demand would be bad for the environment. And so a lower parking ratio for this project actually could be better for the environment. Is that something that could be in the EIR scope?
We can take a look at that and speak to the city's transportation engineer about it. The city does have a specific transportation policy, which dictates how we analyze the traffic. So we can have that conversation with them and include what they feel is appropriate.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Alex. All right, Jonathan, I'm allowing you to talk. Unmute your mic.
Thank you. In response to what Alex said, I've read quite a bit about effects of parking. I really recommend, if you haven't, Alex, you should check out the book, The High Cost of Free Parking by Donald Stroop. It's a great book about parking and demand and how the effect on neighborhoods and general areas and parking within our cities today. But ignoring parking for a second, I wanted to get some clarity on my question about the effect on changing, adding a very high density zoning designation to all of the community mixed use as currently proposed. Was this EIR planning to address and look at the overall effect of changing that zoning density among all of the areas right now in the downtown focus area that I'm not talking about the precise plan, but the regional focus area that have this designation, because this is that's a much larger change than just, this individual project. So, Shannon, I don't know if you could clarify on whether that's included or not in the designation.
That's a really good question.
And you're going to let me answer it, right?
Please. Yeah, because.
Yeah, anytime. So there's different types of general plan amendments, right? There is site specific, and then there's text amendments to the general plan itself. And anytime you have a text amendment, you have to look at the broader implications of that, wherever it would be applicable to have that land use designation. So this will be covering that.
All right.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Did that answer? Oh,
sorry.
I was just going to make sure it answered his question. Oh, no, that's fine.
All right.
Any other
That's it.
third round questions?
I see in Patricia again.
Yep. Unmute your mic, Patricia.
Hey. So I guess I have a quick question about, I'm seeing a bit of a race condition right now between the two plans. So it's basically, we have this EIR scoping on this one, and then we have the downtown plan coming out as well. What's the impact if the downtown plan somehow gets adopted first before this process is complete?
Well, I think that would be easy. You would have to follow the precise plan. This project would not be able to have its own GPA and other designations if it's within the it isn't within the boundary of the precise plan. So you just have to follow the precise plan. Otherwise, you have to amend the precise plan.
Okay. So like for this particular EIR, maybe like if it's in the middle of it, I'm trying to like phrase it like that kind of makes sense. Like, does it invalidate like this particular study of this plan, or like can they amend it to move forward?
Yeah, you just have to think of it as two separate processes, and it's if whatever is finished first, I think precise plan is going to dictate what this project is going to be at that point. But if this finished first, then it is it will be entitled for that, and the precise plan would not be able to change it. But it's going through the public hearing process, and people are aware of the precise plan, including the decision makers. But in essence, it is its own process.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Steve, I think we should, because most of the people are not raising their hands to speak right now, just to remind everyone, maybe you can put your contact information up again, and just to, if you don't want to speak this evening, please do make sure if you have anything you want the city to be aware of in terms of the scoping of the analysis to, please send Steve an email and let him know your thoughts, and that will be considered with all the comments received tonight and throughout the scoping period, which is the 30 days listed on the notice as part of the EIR.
Yep, here's my contact here. Just send it directly to me, and then we'll all this information here will be posted. The presentations, the video recording, and the transcript of the video recording here will be available on the project webpage.
We do have another hand up.
Okay,
great. All right, Dee, I'm going to allow you to talk. Please unmute your mic.
Oh, let Steve get to the clock.
Yeah. One second.
There you go. All right.
That'd be fair.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi. My name's Donna, and I'm late to the session, so excuse me if I missed the presentation. But why are we duplicating? I mean, when we have something else coming, why are we spending our taxpayer money to duplicate a study now to do this when it's going to be done later anyways? Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. So this is a formal application submitted, and and from the applicant. So this is a process that we have to take it through. Anybody can request for entitlement for anything at any time, and when there's a formal applications, we just have to take it through the process. And yeah, that's why we're doing this analysis in this meeting today.
Will you, you're recording it, so you'll have a review of the presentation that you gave?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. As a taxpayer, it doesn't make sense because I'm very, very closely involved with the downtown precise plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, anybody else tuning in? We are taking in comments right now for the EIRs. This is a scoping meeting for the project at 950 Monroe mixed-use project. Here's my information here. If you do not choose to share your comments verbally during this recorded video, you can always provide the written comments, email it to me, or mail in at the address here, 1500 Warburton. Any other participant attendees here want to share? I see none, and I don't see new participants coming on. Patrick, can you confirm that?
Oh, we have one just pop up. All right, Anna, please unmute your mic.
Okay, 1 second, Anna.
I like the changes and the protections that we've provided to the historic homes on this particular design. I wasn't expecting that, so kudos for adding the townhomes. I like that. Feels more like a residential having those nearby. I also like the fact that the homes are not going to be moved. They're not going to be raised, and there's not going to be any parking underneath as originally proposed. So that is a dramatic change. I'm curious about the timeline for the EIR. Well, what are the next steps? How long will it take? Does it typically take 3 months, 6 months, a year? Please advise.
Want to help with that, Shannon?
I don't know that there's any typical time frame for that. We are taking comment tonight. We're starting that environmental review of the plans. That can take, anywhere from a couple months to several months. Once that analysis is complete, it goes through city review, and then it will go out for the public circulation, and that will be noticed. But it's really hard to say at this time, what exactly that time frame would be. It definitely will not be before the end of the year. I think we can safely say that. But beyond that, we just have to see, what's required of the analysis, and the technical work can take time. So we don't have a definitive schedule at this time.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me know. So will there be further community outreach throughout this process, or is this done until the report is final?
No, there should be more. We will be asking the applicant if they can host a new community meeting once they have more finalized plans, maybe other color renderings, whatnot, but it'll hopefully another community meeting before the public hearing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
All right. Okay, so yes, we do have this meeting till 7:30. So, but if I don't see any other new hands, repeats, a new participant coming on, say, leave. Like, we can probably end this meeting short, and just want to let you know again. If I can get this up. Here's my contact. You can provide written comments here. This notice of preparations is to 30 days, which will allow you the opportunity to provide comments all the way to after Thanksgiving, November 26th, the Friday of. That's it.
Steve, we have a hand from George.
Okay. All right, George.
Unmute yourself, George.
It's a good question. So this plan, will it be available for review or downloadable somewhere?
This plan is available. You can contact me. Since it is in a draft mode, we're not posting onto the project webpage.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, George.
Okay. Anyone else before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, and we don't see any new participant coming on. Patrick, can you just?
No, we're losing
that?
attendees.
Actually, people are dropping off. So.
Okay, all right.
They're abandoning ship.
Yeah, it is Monday evening, and
It's dinner time.
raining.
There's football on. Come on now.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you everyone for attending the scoping meeting for the 950 Monroe Mixed Use Project. And that we will end the meeting here at 6:49 here. Again, here's my contact. I'll wait until everybody leaves and then we'll end this. But thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Patrick, for joining us, helping answer questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming out.